Thank you so much for joining us today for Optimistic Opportunities, Season 2, Episode 4. We have Natalie Peacock-Corral with us today. She's a licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist, and she will be sharing her story of struggle and strength centered around postpartum depression. Just a quick little message from our sponsor, Carl Johnson Real Estate at Coldwell Banker HPW. We are a local real estate company in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area, serving buyers and sellers. We don't just list properties for sale, we market them, and ask us about our concierge service for buyers. Visit carljohnsonrealestate.com, and again, that's carljohnsonrealestate.com for more information about the real estate company, and also if you want to see more episodes of Optimistic Opportunities. So back to our show. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us today.
I am so pleased to be here, and I'm really very honored, Carl. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Natalie. I just, really appreciate your trust to join us today and share your story with us. I am so honored as the host of Optimistic Opportunities, but also as your friend. I am so touched. Tear up a little, that you're sharing this with us today.
Yes.
It means so much to me. Full disclosure, I've known Natalie for probably a couple decades now, I think. We performed with Longleaf Opera, so we were on the stage together, and that's bonding with someone when you perform with someone in an opera.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. But yeah, so we'll just get right to your story, Natalie. So you're going to share with us today your story of postpartum depression when you had your first of two children.
Yes. So I had a wonderful pregnancy. I was a vivacious, high-functioning, go-getter woman who had waited a long time to have a child. I'd longed for a child. I had a very, very difficult labor, very long labor. And I had a lot of difficulty trying to breastfeed my child. And as a high-achieving woman, I thought this was the thing you were supposed to do.
There's a lot of pressure around that.
Oh, tremendous pressure.
Right.
Tremendous pressure. And, I so desperately wanted to be a good mother. I wanted to do the right thing for my baby. And what I really didn't see at the time was that I kind of put that as a higher priority than my own mental health and well-being, which I think a lot of moms do when they have a child. So, I would be alone in the dark, many nights of not having slept. My husband was in law school. He went back to law school 2 days after the baby was born. His family lived far off into Chicago. My parents were supportive, but very busy. And I felt, tremendously isolated and alone. And I surprisingly really developed very serious postpartum depression that persisted for about 4 months.
So can you describe to me, what episodes of postpartum depression is, or what's going on? What are you going through when you experience postpartum depression?
So, I felt, first of all, I didn't feel at all like myself because I had been a happy person, and I had several episodes a day of sobbing. I felt hopeless. I felt like things were never going to get better, which I think a lot of women with postpartum depression feel. I felt scared, terrified. Um, and, I was really reaching out for help. I was reaching out for mental health help, but it took a long time for it to work.
Right.
And that part was so difficult that I was reaching out for help, but it was taking time. It did help eventually, which we'll get to.
Right.
But I wanted to say something that is so important for me to convey, which is 1 in 5 women suffer from postpartum depression. And during this time of coronavirus, women are more isolated than ever. They often can't have family come and support them, or can't have friends come and support them. And I'll tell you, I have an image that comes to mind of my experience during that time, which is what got me through was my friends that are women who had had children recently. And the image that comes to mind is like if you're floating on the ocean, they were the water beneath me, supporting me through. And I distinctly remember one of those women I spoke to was Anna Kirby, who's also a social worker.
And my wife.
Yes, and a fabulous human being, by the way.
Right.
And another friend of mine, Yvonne, she was the friend that showed up and kept checking on me and talking me through it. And you never know. I'm going to start to tear up.
Yeah.
You never know how much a friendship really means until you are in the dark of winter. And I was in such a dark time of my life.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Natalie. You make me tear up a little because I know you as that vivacious, energetic, go-getter person that I met first on the stage, and I really appreciate you sharing what you shared today. And I hear you talk about this beautiful image of your friends being the ocean beneath you. That's such a comforting and wonderful image. And I also think about how you were in such darkness, and how it's almost like an eclipse of the sun behind the moon, and then they finally separate again, and you have light. And,
Absolutely.
so that just I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think at the time I didn't know that there was going to be that light.
Yeah. And that brings me to, so that's the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the strength in the story? What did you learn from this, or what did you, how did your life change because of this, or did you get some kind of, I can't air quote here, some kind of superpower, or something that just infused into yourself from this that you can take, which is a hard pill to swallow, and hard for me to even say after hearing the story, is you can take away some kind of positive from this and apply it to your life, and look at it as gaining strength from this moment in your life.
I think that any of us who has gone through a time of tremendous struggle and pain, when we get help, when we get through it through the support and love from others, I don't think we're ever the same.
Yeah.
I grew to understand what, I'm going to cry again, what friendship means. You know, friendship is not just happy times on the stage, not that that isn't fabulous, but
Right.
it's in the dark of winter that we have our friends. And it is relationships that get us through these times of pain and struggle. And, you know, I think I learned through that postpartum depression. Number one, there's so many things I could not control. I thought I could control everything. Number two, that I was a human being, and that by going through that, I became more of a human being.
Right. So your takeaway from all of this was the relationships that supported you and brought you through these moments, and it strengthened those relationships for you, and you realized, you know, how important those friends are to you and how important being in relationship with people is for you.
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing your superpower be?
That is my superpower. Okay. Absolutely.
Well, you get it honestly, knowing your mother, Florence Peacock, fluttering around, being the social butterfly that she is. She's fabulous. Yeah. It comes naturally to you, my dear.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, you know, I want to just say, I think another thing I learned was profound gratitude. I mean, how grateful am I that I had those kinds of friends? I would have done that for them, but, you know, they picked up the phone and spoke to me when I needed them. And told me, you know, you're going to get through this. There is help. And that's a really important message I want to send, is that this is absolutely something that's treatable. Okay. But it took me, you know, it took me months and months to get better. It wasn't, 2 weeks, I'm better.
Right.
Yeah. And that involved therapy, medication, social supports, getting out of the house, that kind of thing.
Yes. And you shared with me, I'm trying to look this up. Where is it? Let's see if I can find it here. You shared with me, if you are in need of help with postpartum issues or postpartum depression, you can go to this website, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, I as in Igloo, .net. And that's PSI.net if you are suffering with postpartum depression and or issues. So that's a great resource for you.
And I also want to say that UNC Chapel Hill Medical Center and have some of the best postpartum depression treatment programs in the whole country. So there, if you're local, that's where you would want to look.
It's great to know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you so very much for sharing your story.
I'm so honored. I appreciate this so much. Thank you, Carl.
You're welcome. And we always close with another message from our sponsor, Carl Johnson Real Estate at Coldwell Banker HBW. We also have partners across the nation. So should you need help with a friend or a relative, or if you're listening from outside of this area, we have great relationships with very successful realtors that can help shepherd you through the process. And you can just reach out to us and we can align you with that professional. So Natalie, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such an honor to hear your story, and I appreciate you so much for diving into our new format. We've settled in now by our 4th episode in season 2 to our new format for optimistic opportunities for this season. And if you know anybody, or if anybody listening wants to share their story of struggle and strength, please reach out to me. If you have other questions you'd like me to ask, or directions you would like to see for optimistic opportunities, we love feedback. So please send it to us. And that's all I have today. I hate to say goodbye, Natalie, but
Bye.
we'll have to let our listeners go. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And as I always close with is, please remember to help one another. And y'all have a great day today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.